This is Red Ice Radio. From the apparent to the esoteric. RedIceCreations.com.
This is Red Ice Radio. A warm welcome. Thank you for tuning in today. It's great to have you all with us wherever you are listening from. My name is Henrik Palmgren. We are coming to you from Sweden. That's up in Scandinavia, north of the European continent. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we bring you what we consider to be the most fascinating and important topics. Please keep your browser tuned to RedIceCreations.com to follow us on a regular basis. We do radio, TV programs, news, audio commentary, films, videos, and more. You can stream or download our program. First hour, always free, no commercial interruptions. We have over a year of archived radio programs available for you on the website. When you want to hear more, we have the second hour of our programs available in our member section. Search or have a look in our archive. We have programs going back to 2006. I'm sure you can find some gems in there. Writer and animator Alan Abbadessa is with us today to talk about the Sync book, a new release that Alan has edited and compiled featuring 26 bloggers, writers and artists who share their experience and perspectives on the topic of synchronicity and synchromysticism. Some we've had with us before on the program and some are new voices as well. And we are going to explore some of the themes from the book and talk about things such as symbolism, meaning, our entangled universe, messages from beyond, media, cosmic consciousness, magic, and piercing the veil. Stay with us for an interesting program. All right, this is going to be really interesting. Finally returning to the topic of synchromysticism, or, synchronicity as it were overall. We're going to talk about the Sync book together with the author, or the editor rather, Alan Abbadessa. Welcome to Red Ice, Alan. It's good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you as well. As I was telling you before, it's really an honor for me. I've been a fan of your work for a long time, and it's a huge honor for me to be on Red Ice. So thank you so much for asking me on.
You bet. This is going to be interesting. Returning for me in one sense. We've had a few of the authors that is contained in the book on the program before. We've brushed upon the topic, and in one sense we've explored many other things together with people like Jack Kotze and Jim Sanders and also Steve Willner, but there's just so many more people you have in there, and we're going to talk more about this obviously. But first of all, I think it's the first time that I'm aware of anyway that somebody has actually put in this topic or these themes into written format, if you will. So well done on that, Alan.
Thank you very much. And for me, it's again, it's just a flat out honor, because so many of these guys, I'm a big fan of their work. And I wanted, in one respect, to put out what they're doing to a wider audience, and some of the authors who are less well-known get their voice out there as well. And when I was thinking about basically putting a book together to explain what it was that we were doing on these various blogs day by day, I thought it just sort of needed to be put down and into print and sort of explained a little bit. And then I realized there's so much of it is personal, and there's so many different interpretations as to what it means, that it would be silly for me to write a book and say, this is what Alan thinks it is, when there's just so many interpretations. And I said the only way to do it right would be to have as many authors as possible put their voice onto it and let everyone have their say. And I think that's what makes it an amazing book.
So why did you want to pull this together in one sense, Alan? Because it's a really interesting topic, and I think it's poignant, and timely to finally kind of do it. And it's an overview, obviously, as well, because it's a lot of many of the authors' kind of overarching theories on many of the subjects that they talk about. If you follow a lot of the blogs, of course, it's not always, but it's kind of news timely, if you will. So if you're new to the topic, you might be kind of really confused, like what the hell are they talking about, But this is the background kind of issue on this as well. So tell us a little bit about the why you wanted to pull this together, Alan.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. When I sort of a long story how I got into synchronicity or synchromysticism, all these different things. To me, there's a variety of subjects which are interrelated, but I remember when I first came across Jake's work and the sinkhole, I was confused. It just seemed very random, and I was like, I'm not sure what they're saying or what point they were trying to make. that was the biggest thing to me is, okay, I kind of get what they're doing here, but what is the point? Maybe that sounds, I'm not trying to be offensive, it's just like, that's how it seemed to me.
Sure.
And I felt sure there was something they were trying to say. And then I came to realize later that what they're doing is they don't feel the need to explain themselves anymore. They're sort of at a point where they've discussed it, they're still maybe developing theories, and they were just in the practice of what they call Synchromysticism. But I thought for new readers, it would be incredibly helpful to kind of give them an idea of, how they got into this line of thinking and what it was they were doing and some of the ideas behind the work. So I agree. I think that was really important if you're trying to get someone new to look at the material rather than confusing them or maybe giving the wrong impression, to put some of these ideas out there and let each author try and explain what their theories were. Or even if it's, I know a lot of them are hesitant to even put a theory out there. And some of them want to let the work speak for itself. And if that's the case, then I wanted them to be able to say that. And I actually have a lot of sympathy for that line of thinking, because very often on my own blog, I'll have comments where people assume that I'm trying to say something that I'm not, that's not what I meant. And then I was, well, that's okay. That's their interpretation of this material, and that's just as valid as my own. So.
You bet, exactly. And we'll get into some of these things, of course, and I want to talk more about some of the authors and some of the work, some of the overarching theories. But before we do that, Alan, let's talk a little bit about you, though. What's your background? When did you get involved in this? And also tell us, obviously, when this was.
Sure. I mean, for myself, I guess I've just been doing different writing and media for the last number of years. And I got into conspiracy material, I don't know, maybe about 2004. I live in New York, so 9/11 certainly affected me in a number of ways. But then obviously as the police state became more and more apparent and all these different things were just affecting my life and certainly grabbing my interest, I got really into the conspiracy side of things. And as I went down those various rabbit holes, the conspiracy started to get bigger and bigger, is how it starts to seem. Well, there must be something more behind this, or a bigger force. Meaning, you could take that any number of ways. But obviously it starts getting bigger than your local politicians. It gets bigger than the president. It gets bigger than shadow government. And then you start going into areas of Illuminati. And then it still seems to go even beyond that, beyond human control. And that's where things start to get funny and where there's obviously areas of debate. I don't have a strong religious background, so for me it wasn't an automatic leap to God or demonic forces, things like that. But I just kept noticing that it got bigger and bigger, and in a lot of ways it got very confusing. So what exactly is going on here? And that's about the time that I think I was meant to find synchronicity and these different writers, because it really put into a nice perspective for me. The first author I think I really stumbled upon was probably Christopher Knowles, who I think you've had on your show. He does sure. Secret Sun. And I liked his approach because it was very even-handed, and he takes the time to actually go through everything. And I got into his stuff, and it sort of helped me realize that a lot of the symbolism that I was observing wasn't necessarily purely a secret society thing or things like that. I mean, certainly that's there, but it just sort of put it into a wider context for me. And I was reading his site pretty regularly, and then I started getting into some of the other writers' work, guys like the Jake Kotze at the Sinkhole, his own videos. His videos are amazing. Steve Willner. And I started finding all these different guys who were doing this, and I actually found myself more drawn to what they were doing because they seemed to take it in this other direction, which really spoke to me in my own personal experiences. So that was, I would say, really how I got into this, was just sort of trying to figure out what was going on, and then realizing that the biggest conspiracy of